we're slowly, not slowly, we're quickly running out of time here. So, let's talk about doubles and what's your thought on this in doubles? Is there kind of a theory you've got on when we go from offense to defense or when we go from defense to offense?
I think in doubles there's a patience factor, and I think the patience factor gets a little cloudy because there's 4 people on the court, there's activity, and we get distracted by the activity. And what happens is, I've noticed it with a lot of the teams, especially in the 3-5-4-0 level, in that vein. After 3 or 4 balls, everybody on the court, and this is the way I term it, everybody's on the court is looking for the exit. And so after 3-4 balls, there's this impatience that grows on the court, and you can see it. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody goes to try and hit the cute angle or rip one down the line, only to miss it by a foot wide or a foot long, or any variations of those things. And I think if we can go back to a basic strategy, which is picking a safe target in doubles, obviously cross court, picking a safe target that I can hit out to, so I can become comfortable with seeing my ball land in time after time, and kind of ignoring the net guy. If, as you know, Brent, when you're playing a match and the return server and the guys, when they're hitting solid returns, they're putting authority on the ball. They're not doing anything flashy, but the ball's got some authority on it. We have to measure our poaching. We have to be a little bit more calculated about sticking our nose into that business. Right. We can't just willy-nilly go out there and just be active and swinging my racket around. So if I can get comfortable with staying in the point, 1 or 2 more, maybe 3, maybe 4 more shots longer, and doing the boring thing, which is just to stand there and rip another forehand cross court right where you have the ball right there, a safe target that I can hit out to, the net guy becomes a little bit less of a factor. And what happens is, if you're consistently grinding that ball like that, your net player then has opportunity to help you out. So in doubles, I think it's a little bit more about, can I be patient and not look for the exit so soon, but can I actually look for opportunity to stay in the building?
No, that's really a good way to describe it, because what I see at that level of play is that players don't really recognize that it's okay to stay in the point. And I think you're absolutely right. With 4 players in the court, there's a lot of commotion. There's a lot of visual distraction out there in the landscape. And it's easy to kind of be kind of confused and distracted and to play offense too much just because, as you say, you're looking for a way out of the point. And what I try to get people to feel is that, if the ball's down below the net when you make contact, if you're up at net, you really have to play a defensive shot. You don't have the geometry to be able to crunch a ball either to an alley, either at a guy's feet or between the 2 players if you make contact below the top of the net. That is the situation where you have to feel comfortable that it's okay to stay in this point, to live 1 more ball and see what you get. And if that next ball gets popped up, now maybe you've got an offensive opportunity to go ahead and try to really nail it to, as we said, an alley or a guy's feet or between the 2 players. But until you get that ball above the top of the net, you've got to feel comfortable that you can play volleys all day long. If that means going back cross court, that's what you got to do. And conversely, if you're back in the baseline, you really don't have an offensive opportunity unless you get maybe, in this situation where you've got a shorter ball in here and you can move up. And again, if the ball's above the top of the net at this point, yeah, you can go ahead and maybe rip between them or somewhere. But if it's down below, this is not an offensive opportunity. So
I got to be a little more calculated about what I'm doing.
I think that's really the point I want everyone to get, and I think that's what you're saying, Jeff, is that
absolutely.
It's okay to stay in the point. Don't look for the exit. You know, and don't think of it that way. You know, once you get that offensive opportunity where the ball gets popped up, you know, go for it. But you always got to assume that someone's going to guess where you're going, and there's a real good chance it might come back.
Yeah, it's kind of silly sometimes, but you know, when I'm playing, I assume every time I hit the ball, no matter where I hit it, I just assume my opponent is doing his best to run it down and send it back.
Right.
So, and sometimes I think we're kind of blind to that. You know, watching, you know, especially in the club atmosphere, you know, people hit, they think they've hit a good shot, and then they kind of stand there like a deer in the headlights, assuming that, you know, well, I hit a good ball. Isn't that enough? And it's not.
Well, it gets back to the point, though, where players are looking for the exit. And, you know, you hit a good ball, and you think, okay, that ought to be a winner. Okay, I'm done. Oh, man, here it comes. And it comes back. And now, mentally, you've gone from hoping to, you know, kind of disaster time. So, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's that instant. All of a sudden, my shot was offensive, but now how is it that on this very next ball I'm receiving, I'm playing defense? And I think if we look at the single R returner there in your diagram, you know, you've from a baseline position, you've come up a little bit, and let's say you hit that ball, but it's not really an approach. And here's the other, like kind of like the kiss of death. We know there's no man's land, but I think. You know, what I've been watching is players kind of crowding the court. And the crowding the court can mean I'm actually literally standing on the baseline. I'm not actually in a full ground stroke position where I could actually attack a ball that lands deep. If I'm on the baseline, a foot inside the baseline, I'm crowding the court, and I go from that, wow, I just hit a great ball. I didn't recover, though. And all of a sudden I'm on defense, and it's happening 1 second later after I thought I hit this great ball. And so I think that's another aspect of this. How do I go from offense to defense is I need to recognize my recovery. If I'm not moving into the net, I need to be recovering back to a full ground stroke position.
Right, right.
So I can step into the next ball and do my business. And I think that's the other, you know, the kiss of death. It's not, you know, the common terminology, you know, is no man's land, but I think it's a bigger area than that. It's actually, you know, hovering on the baseline or just inside, and I see it happen all the time. And all of a sudden, the opponents hit a drifting kind of deep ball, but because I'm standing there, all of a sudden I just went from offense, and they've hit this little dirt ball that really isn't difficult, but because of my location, I've just turned their dirt ball into a great shot because I have to retreat out of the play now because I'm crowding the court too much.
Right, good. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you in just a second, number 4, you know, what do you think are a couple of great drills for 2 practice partners, you know, not with a pro, but for a couple of guys to go out and kind of go through some drills to get a better understanding of when they've got opportunities to go on offense or really when they should play defense. But first, guys, I'm anticipating that we're going to have some questions for Jeff. And if that's the case, go ahead and start typing your question into the text box on your GoToWebinar control panel. Or if you've got your microphone or telephone set up properly, you can click the hand icon that's also on the GoToWebinar control panel. You can ask Jeff in your own voice. But so go ahead and start preparing your questions now for Jeff. Jeff, give us a couple of drills that you like for getting a better feeling of offense and defense.
The first one is right in the you can call it monitor and adjust, or you can call it cone to cone. So I think yesterday we set the cones up yesterday, Brent. Yeah, a little bit shallower in the court, maybe like right in the right there.
Okay.
And then another cone on the opposite side, same spot. And what I like to do is is just start a rally out of the hand, and we're hitting cross court, and my objective is to hit the cone. That's my target on every shot. And what your players are going to find out is that, yes, you know what? I can't always hit my target even when I'm trying. And so if I'm off by 4 or 5 feet, my ball is still in. Now, what I like to do, though, is that if, let's take the ball there and maybe move it out to the double sideline, the very edge of the outside of the line there, right? So if the receiver now has hit this ball all the way over there to the edge, the next ball I'll actually call out if I'm doing the rallying and saying, okay, bring it back to the cone. I know that he didn't intend to hit it out to the sideline, but I need him to monitor, identify what he's done, and now make the adjustment on the next ball and bring it back to the cone. And conversely, if they hit a ball and it's to center court, next ball, back to the cone. If it's shallow, the ball bounces around the service line or shallower, I'll say, okay, the next ball needs to be lengthened out. And then finally, if I hit a ball out, next ball has to be in. So what it does is it elevates our focus and understanding and actually seeing my ball for what it is. I didn't intend to hit it there. I need to make the adjustment now and bring it back in. And we start to get a little bit more refined about being able to control the ball that way.
All right, so you're saying that we get much more aware of, as you said in the very top of the webcast, the quality of our shot, and the quality of our shot is about whether or not we're creating offensive opportunities for ourselves. And I think one of the things that what you're saying too, Jeff, is that you might be going for the cone here if you're the server, and you might be going for the cone in this drill, but if you get a little bit ahead of the ball, and next thing you see is that you've hit it nicely out wide, which really forces your practice partner to get stretched out. I mean, you can put that in the back of your mind, saying that, hey, the next time I intend in a match to go here, but it's played out wide, that's an unintended golden opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's just it, though. It's just being, again, and even in that scenario, Brent, when you put the ball out there, in the practice session, I want to control the next ball back to the cone.
Right.
And so I start to get confidence because, one, I'm seeing my ball land in the court more often, and because I'm picking a safe target, I can hit a bigger ball to it. So I gain confidence in a couple different areas. One, I'm seeing my ball land in more often, and two, I feel I can take some liberties with it and put a little bit more authority on the ball and see that ball land in as well more often. So both those things then kind of give me a freedom to play where I'm not afraid to go ahead and pull the trigger on a shot because I know my margins now. I know where I'm at. I can pick a safe target and go ahead and pull the trigger.
Okay, that's good. All right, you got another drill here for us, Jeff?
Do the same thing, serving and volleying, though. Playing, even if you're a singles player, playing it out in the doubles cross-court arena. So you'd obviously take the cones off the court,
right,
and play the point out cross-court. And so the returner, his goal is to hit that return in the center of right about where you got the server right now. Okay. Right, his goal is to hit that mark, a lot of margin. Right, but to go ahead and put that there, and then the server's job, if he's moving in to hit, serve and volley, is to do the same thing. Can I grind out my first volley? It doesn't do me any good to go for lines and alleys and these great super first volleys if I'm not putting the ball on the court. So I want to gain that confidence early in a match right away by seeing my first volley land in. Every time I'm coming in, I got to see that ball land in. So I get a little conservative with my target, but that allows me to hit out a little freer.
Well, what I like about this drill, and I've done this drill forever, and I'm sure you too. I'm sure that you have too, Jeff. We call it shadow doubles, and it's really an idea. It's just a great drill in so many parts of the game, and just so everyone understands the way the drill works. I mean, Jeff's described that we play the ball cross court. The alleys can be in play, and we sort of have an imaginary line that goes from the tee back to the center mark. So you're really trying to work your ball cross court the whole time. But this first transitional shot to me is really where, you know, the rubber meets the road, not only in singles but also in doubles. And that if you start, you know, sort of realizing that this isn't really an offensive opportunity because of where you are in the court. Even if you get a ball up high, you really don't have the great geometry to do anything more than to maybe lay it back deep and really think about improving your court position. And once you're up there, then there becomes times when, you know, you might have a put-away opportunity. In this drill, I'm assuming, Jeff, that you want us to continue, even with put-aways, to keep going cross-court so that we can, you know, keep working on those angles and that placement over there.
Absolutely. I think a big factor is that, excuse me, is thinking that I always have to do something, you know, incredibly creative with the ball to win a point. And in actuality, I tell a lot of my students, listen, I need less creativity, and I need more, you know, boring journeyman, grind your first volley into that open court, get set, and you know what? Do it again. Grind a second volley into that open court safely in there that you can hit with authority on. And get used to seeing your ball land in and get used to being less creative. Because all I've done now then is 2 or 3 balls later, now all of a sudden, if we move the server up a little bit closer to the net, if I produce those volleys with the authority I need on it, I have the opportunity now to create the angle that I might want, and I don't have to hit lines with the angle now. I've got open court to work with. But I think going back to kind of the looking for the exit too soon, can I be patient enough to drive one more volley deep in the court that allows me to get that one extra step closer in to go ahead, and then it almost becomes painfully obvious that that ball is the right ball to be trying to hit the winner or end the point on. I think most players are one shot ahead of the actual reality of the opportunity.
I agree with that. I think that's a good point. I think both these drills will help everyone sort of develop that patience of not, you know, quote unquote going for the big shot too early, you know, before that golden opportunity presents itself. And so the drills really help kind of calm you down, feel comfortable staying in the point, and recognizing that, you know, the true put-away opportunities are kind of far and few between. And really court positioning is where you really get, you know, the opportunities. That's really where you want to go from defense to offense.